Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the show, Chuck Chow on East West with G&E TV. This morning, I would say the whole world, if not the whole world, at least Los Angeles, at least Americans are overwhelmed with the sorrow of the passing away of Mr. Robin Williams, which is a star almost to everybody as a #1 comedian of the century, of our time. What a loss, what a waste. Well, in mourning to a soul that has just passed away, we always try to learn something from it. Today, joining me in the moment, in the sad moment, is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hamming, a famous writer and a thinker, of course. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack.
You know my heart is heavy.
You know, it's happy to be here talking about a depressing subject.
Sure, and so is yours, and so is everybody's.
Right.
So, I recall, a few years ago, I was doing a voiceover for a company, for a production company, who does a series of a anti-depression medication.
Okay.
Right. That time, I didn't believe the word or the fact depression could cost you that much. Until yesterday, when I heard the news about his passing away. It wasn't until yesterday when I heard about his passing away did I realize the problems are such huge ones around us.
Well, let me start off with a little surprise for you, if I may.
Yeah.
I personally have known very closely two people that had depression problems in their life. One circumstantial, one sort of a lifelong one, and they both committed suicide. And I knew them very, very well. One was sort of anticipated, had tried it many times and failed, and then you finally succeed. So it's all around us. From my little research, there's about 5 to 8% of all Americans that suffer from some form of depression, about 25 million people. And it's actually not quite as common as a cold, but it's too common.
Sure. Prior to extending my invitation to Mr. Ken Hamming, I made a few calls to my doctor friends, and the problem is that with such a short notice, nobody can make it.
Right.
So that's why I dragged him over, and he's a friend who is willing to share his opinions at any given moment. So for that, I thank you very much, especially. Yes, without a doctor, we can't touch the medical part too much because we know nothing about it. But like I said, it wasn't until the moment of yesterday when I heard about his passing away that he took his own life, quote unquote, by hanging himself, did I realize that it was really a medical problem. I used to think about it as just a mind problem, it's a mood problem. But now I tend to believe it is a medical problem. How much do you know about the difference between a mind problem, which is a mood problem, and the medical problem?
Let me just read this definition of depression.
Sure.
Okay, pretty please. I beg your viewers will like it.
Sure.
Severe despondency and dejection, typically felt over a period of time and accompanied by feelings of hopelessness and inadequacy. What a terrible sequence of words. And so it can start at any time in life.
Read it again, please.
Yes, because I think it's worth it, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
Depression, severe despondency and dejection, typically felt over a period of time and accompanied by feelings of hopelessness and inadequacy.
Sure.
What feelings?
That definition, to me, emphasis only on the appearances of the problem, how it looks, how it feels, right? As to the fundamental root of it, which is the medical reason, it doesn't say any.
Well,
Does it?
correct. But I am not a psychiatrist, so I can't address it technically. But it's medical, also circumstantial, perhaps even genetic. If you're brought up in a home with depression among your parents or in your siblings or something, it's harder to fight it. So there's no specific origin for one to suffer from it.
It was also last night that I spent quite some time doing my homework on this depression stuff, on this depression issue. I learned from one article talking about the medical problems in the brain system. It says, according to that article, it's really like the same case. You have an ulcer in your stomach, right? Or you have whatever, you suffer from a strike or whatever, a stroke, I mean.
Right.
For whatever reason. But it is something, an article says, is in the center of your brain system. There's a core called, what, I forgot the name of the core. There are two of them, which if you pop an ear into your, pop a finger into your ear and another into your eye, where these two fingers meet, will be the one, will be the position of that part of the brain. If something like whatever, infection or dysfunction or any cell failure, whatever, that happen within that two cores, that will cause you the depression. That was how exactly the article mentioned. Of course, my quote of the article cannot be precise because
it's generic.
The generic problem is a total medical term. I don't know anything about. But things like that, with a problem like that, it is really a concern to the society that we have to look at it as a medical problem rather than a mind problem. Is that right?
Well, I think it's probably both, but I don't have a foundation. Because I think your environment that you're in can really. We all have emotions, and emotions are common to everybody. They vary in degrees, but the emotions can be triggered by the circumstances of life. For example, I wore a rotary tie today that has flags of all around the world, and because depression hits everybody on this globe as a possible target, and I actually felt amazement today thinking about some of the desperate circumstances people are living in Africa and how they cope and stay sort of functional and happy in that with very difficult life circumstances. So I'm proud of people that do endure under tremendous difficulties. I'm proud of them. So it's not automatic, it causes a depression.
Another thing is very obvious, is so obvious that, of course, we have no question about it, that this guy, Mr. Robert Williams, had lived as far as materialized world is concerned, the best life.
Tremendous,
right? He has the best of money.
Good resources.
He's not the richest. He's at least one of the richest
very wealthy.
among the richest. We're very wealthy, right? His talent made him wealthy, right? Made his wealth.
Yes.
And he lives in the mansion house.
Yeah, I saw one of his homes in Architectural Digest.
Right.
I'd like to move in.
He has a beautiful wife.
Yes.
He has a wonderful family.
Yes.
He has remarkable kids.
Right.
So, if you look at him in a regular eye, though, you will see this is the guy finds 100 reasons to celebrate.
That's right.
What he's enjoying, what he has, rather than complaining about it.
Right.
Let alone the fact that he killed himself.
Right. Exactly.
So my conclusion, my feeling, or the way I felt, is that it's not a materialist problem.
Oh, nothing to do with material needs.
In other words, regardless of people being poor or rich, being wealthy or less wealthy, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Right? It doesn't matter. It's just a disease.
It is It is an attitude that is difficult to overcome when you suffer from it. Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's
All
very, very tragic, and then there's, sometimes the people that are suffering from this, and there's more than one form of depression. There's different forms of depression. That how do their closest friends? Sometimes they want to address it, and they want to work together to deal with it, and sometimes they want to be left alone.
The poor wife almost said in tears that she asked for privacy, right? So we hate to touch anything about that part.
Right. Yeah.
But the news did leak something about his previous problems of some controlled substances.
Yeah, he's been open about it over the last 2 or 3 decades.
Of course, the wife asks about,
Yeah, right.
We better keep ourselves
Period
away
of silence
from it, be silent from it.
Yeah.
But without touching too much, just to serve on the surface of whatever has been released per the news yesterday, he did have also an alcoholic problem. So could that be a cycle? It's a very negative cycle. That is that you have the problem, you try to rely upon those substances,
Right.
the result of which is it gets even worse.
Yeah.
And worse is the condition. When worse the condition has become, the more dependencies to these substances, and it goes on and on as a negative cycle.
I think you make a good point. It's like a tornado. Tornado's brought at the top and it spins down to a little point of destruction. So if you're in this life cycle of abuse and say substance abuses and also emotional challenges, it spins itself, and you either have to be treated to get out of it, or you get spun out of it, or you get to that point where it hits the earth and there's destruction.
Sure.
Yeah, and so the good news, I guess, which I always look for, is most people are able to survive in dealing with it.
Sure.
And it is not,
Exactly.
yeah. Now suicide is the 10th most common way of dying in America
With the
right
love
now.
of him that I feel like everybody else of you up there do him, and also with the respect to the wife's request, we try to touch his personal life as little as possible. And on the other hand, he is certainly a guy, a soul remembered by so many. So let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll continue finding out. And however, we're attaching ourselves to the part about the consequences, to the lessons we can learn, to the preventions of the futures. So stay with us. We'll be right back.